Albania is one of my favorite places to drive,
It's so much fun.
but it's nothing like the USA or Western Europe. It is vibes based. It's not really rule based. I know that there are a lot of questions about driving in Albania, and so we wanted to come on here today and give you just kind of an overview of what it's like to, traverse these roadways through the whole country and what you can expect.
Before we get started, please subscribe, please follow along. We're bringing you new tips and tricks about our life in Albania every week. Driving here is actually very vibes based. So you have to find a balance between like what are the rules and what are the people on the road actually doing.
I think one thing that's important to understand are the roads themselves. Outside of a very small corridor in the center of Tirana, A1 and A2, there are not limited access roadways. So there are constantly cars entering or exiting the road, stopping on the side, maybe making an invisible center lane. Sometimes there are livestock that are on the road. We see plenty of livestock.
Yeah, it really reminds me of like rural America 30 years ago. The highways are not as big, but it's the same kind of driving style. So you always have to be aware that something might pull right out in front of you.
I mean, cars and people enter and exit constantly, even on some of the areas that are semi-protected highways. People are jumping over the median. So you have to pay attention at all times. It's not a place where you can really use cruise control, set it and forget it, and listen to a podcast the way that you cruise the highways in the USA.
You're also going a lot slower, though, especially coming from the US. Like, the speed limits are slower here because the roads are smaller. There is a lot going on. So don't worry that you're going to be darting people jumping in and out of the interstate going like 75 miles per hour. It's a little slower and calmer than that.
I don't know if I would describe driving in Albania as calm. My go-to line on this is that it's a combination of cruising the country roads and Mario Kart, where you just kind of got to be in it for the adventure. Another thing that I think is important to mention is the lack of traffic signals. There are signs, but outside of Tirana, there are really no traffic signals that you come across. Mostly what you're dealing with are roundabouts, or other sort of natural stoppages and crossings.
And there are oftentimes police in those intersections, and they're what is guiding traffic. So don't be alarmed if you see like a lot of police out in the streets. They're working as like traffic signals in high like traffic situations.
And I think that brings us to an important next topic, which is traffic stops. They happen differently here than they do in the USA. I know that you can kind of imagine the standard chase scene, and I know many of us have been pulled over before, where the cop comes up behind you, puts on your lights, it's all adrenaline focused. Here, that's not how any interaction with police go.
No, it's very calm, actually. They work in like pairs. There will be somebody doing radar, sort of watching the
Further up the
roadways
road.
up the road, and then at the next, usually intersection, there's a team of cops, like two people usually. One of them is flagging down the car, and the other person is like dealing with the car that they have pulled over in front of you.
Yeah, so it's not adversarial. In the year or so that we have been driving here, I've been stopped once and Sam has been stopped.
I've been stopped way more than once. I got stopped like 3 times in one trip when we had temporary plates on the car.
When we had the German temp tags, it really caused police to want to ask you for documents at every single checkpoint.
But I guess my point in saying that is like, it was a very quick stop. Like, who are you? What are you doing? Have a nice day.
Right.
Like, it wasn't some shakedown. It wasn't at all scary. It made sense. I mean, the car had temporary like export plates on it. It made sense that I got stopped a few times. Every interaction was great. It was simple. Like, it wasn't, I don't know, concerning, even though like my language proficiency isn't great, certainly wasn't at the time. Like, everybody was pretty accommodating.
That's what makes you nervous, is you don't really know what to do in that interaction. The time that I was stopped, it was for a violation that I definitely did. I made a illegal pass on a 2-lane road after being stuck in some traffic in a way that an Albanian driver might, but there was a police officer right up there right in the spot where this happens. And they stopped me and was able to speak English, issued me my fine, and then I was able to pay it and continue on. But that is to say, traffic enforcement does exist. Just because it is vibes-based doesn't mean it's lawless. It's just that the enforcement and the direction of the traffic is being done by people, the traffic police, more than it's being done by systems or signage or really anything else.
Yeah, it's all people based. I think people get really concerned about like, is it going to be stressful? Can I navigate this? Like, at the end of the day, like if you're just paying attention, you can definitely drive here. If you do get pulled over, which could happen, like you can definitely navigate that interaction. Like I've just shown an officer my passport before, honestly. It wouldn't hurt to have an international driver's permit. But my point is to tell you, like, the police officers are pretty accommodating. They're understanding. If you do get some kind of minor infraction, like a ticket here for basically anything is much, much cheaper than what you're used to in the US.
And you need to pay it. You can pay tickets at any of the like Western Union bill pay stations in cash across the towns. You can pay it at the posta, the post office, any fine that you get. And if you pay like a parking ticket, for example, in a short period of time after you receive it, you get a pretty significant discount, up to I think a 20% discount on the ticket price if you get a parking ticket. But it's important to pay them because they follow you based on your plates.
Yeah, and they do check. If your ticket has not been paid in a certain amount of time, like it will get flagged with the plates and you will get stopped at the border. And theoretically, you cannot leave Albania before your tickets are paid. Now, we actually had an interesting scenario. We parked in a spot in Saranda that was previously like a normal parking space. It turned into a taxi stand like when we were gone. And we got a parking ticket. We forgot about it. This happened like we went into Greece for the day. On the way back, they were like, you should have paid this parking ticket before you left. Like, you really can't re-enter Albania until it's paid. And luckily, like, we worked this out. We called somebody, got the ticket paid. It was like 15 euros. And this was even with like the penalty for it being late, and went on our way. But it's just better to pay these things because they will follow you and become a headache.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want them to be holding you up at the border or making travel any more stressful than it needs to be. Plus, they're pretty easy to pay. I feel like this video is making us out to be bad drivers that get pulled over and get parking tickets. And I don't think that's true. I think that we're generally very good drivers, but it has been interesting adapting to driving in a new place that is much more, again, regulated by people.
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, I think we're good drivers. The point is more like you have more human interaction. You're going to encounter people. You will get stopped. You will have a discussion at a border. Like, you just interact with people differently here in like a driving environment.
So the next thing I want to talk about are routes and road conditions. I think, we've taken some beautiful drives during our time in Albania all across the coast. And one of the things I was concerned about when coming here that I'd seen on YouTube was that the roads were going to be in really poor condition. And that's not at all what we have found here in Albania. The roads, even the 2-lane mountain passes are, recently resurfaced. They're not full of potholes or anything.
The infrastructure is improving rapidly. And I think that's the thing that people really, especially when you're getting a perspective from YouTube that might be like even a year old, like the road conditions are changing rapidly. They're improving a lot. All of the main roads that you're going to take are really nice. Like coming from the Midwest, I would say they're better. But then like you will get routed like through a town and up some road that like is in horrendous condition.
Right.
So be aware.
So you gotta. I think that the road conditions are very nice on all the different routes that I've taken all across this country, through mountains, through valleys. These brand new tunnels that they've put in. The road and infrastructure is class leading for the Balkans.
Oh, for sure.
When you cross the border into Montenegro,
oh, it's horrible.
It's
bad.
It's like suddenly wobbly. Like
even in Greece, it's bad.
Right. The roads in Albania have left me very impressed. It is clear that there's been a lot of effort and investment taking place here. So I want to talk a little bit about the most common routes that we have driven and some of our favorite road trips that we've taken. I think my favorite road trip you can take is along the coast from Saranda to Vlora by way of Picheres and Hamara. It's a beautiful, beautiful coastal drive. It takes a little bit longer than going through the mountains through Tepelena, but it is just a beautiful roadway. Not for the faint of heart, I suppose, in terms of the switchbacks and queasiness.
I don't know. Like, if you get super car sick, yeah, it's probably not advisable. If you're not comfortable driving a manual, don't do that. Make sure you're in an automatic. I mean, it is kind of hilly and curvy, but it's a manageable road and it is breathtaking.
It's the most beautiful drive I've ever taken in my entire life. It is stunning. There's no need to rush through it. Take it slow. Yeah, I can hear the traffic police behind us.
I think you make a really good point and like take it slow. Like if you're here to explore Albania, like driving is a great way to do it. And don't always look for the fastest route. Make sure to take the time to do some of these scenic drives because they are truly, really worth it.
If you're going from Saranda to Vlora via the coastal route, you have the option of either going through a brand new tunnel. It's a super long, super modern, fast tunnel through a mountain. Or you can go through, it's called Llogara Pass, and get some of the most breathtaking, stunning mountain to sea views that I've ever seen in my life. But no, the switchbacks are pretty intense going through that mountain pass. One time we did the drive when it was cloudy out. And
It was foggy.
It was foggy, and it felt like as we descended, it felt like we went up through the clouds, and we couldn't see more than 10 feet from the car.
10 feet is generous, honestly. Like there was no visibility at the top of that. We had a friend with us that was like a little squeamish about heights and riding in the car and everything. He was having a bit of a panic attack.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the other route that we've taken a bunch is Saranda to Tirana and Tirana to Saranda. I know it now well enough that I can do it without GPS, which I think is an accomplishment. I think that says that I know my way around.
Oh, for sure. I can't do that yet.
You start going over the hills of Saranda and through the mountains on your way to Gjirokastër towards Tepelena. You go through the town of Tepelena, which is very, very nice. There are little stands. It's a natural spring. So there are stands along the roadside there selling different items and people filling bottles of
Honey, olive oil, other touristy sort of thing.
Then you drive up towards Fier. Then you have the option of either going through Durrës and then from Durrës to Tirana, or if you're going to the center, I sometimes like to route myself through Elbasan and then go Elbasan to up to Tirana, kind of around this mountain area.
This is a much prettier drive.
Usually it's like maybe 10, 20-minute difference on maps. But if there's any traffic for you between Durrës and Tirana, which there almost always is, especially right now when there's a lot of construction, it usually saves time to go through Elbasan if you're making that journey. That's my recommendation, at least.
I would always do that unless you specifically need or want to go to Durrës, honestly. Like if you want to see the country, the Elbasan route is way better.
And if you want to see gorgeous Albanian mountain passes and visit Lake Ohrid or Pagradak along the way, I took a absolutely beautiful drive through the mountains from Lake Ohrid and Pagradak, right at the border there with North Macedonia, down through the east side of Albania, through these beautiful mountain switchbacks. I routed myself through Korça and then back over here to Saranda, which took me through the Vjosa River Valley. It was right after my meditation retreat, so it was the first time I could jam out after a week of silence.
I think the hardest part about driving in Albania, honestly, is parking, especially when you're in a city. And when I mean city, I mean any sort of like dense community, Saranda. It is very challenging to drive and park in Saranda. If you think that you are going to drive across town every day, I would really reconsider. Like you need to be in a different city for that, maybe Vlora, maybe Durrës. It's a place that we personally like drive it in and out of when we're going on a longer trip. We never use our car in town here.
Right. There's tight parking. And again, this is not just Saranda. This is a lot of cities across Albania. Cars kind of stop wherever they want in order to, and will block traffic for a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. They'll invent an invisible parking spot that both blocks the sidewalk and the traffic, and a bus will come along. Delivery vans will block the roads regularly. They'll drive up on the sidewalk sometimes if you're a pedestrian. That's a little frustrating. And there are no traffic lights. I mean, imagine a city of the size of Saranda, 20,000, but swelling to 100,000 during the summer. Those are estimates, I think. You can think of it as similar in size, at least to some of the college towns that I grew up in, Fort Collins and Columbia, Missouri, of having the townies and then the tourists that come in. Imagine a town of that size having no traffic lights. This entire city operates with no traffic lights. And the way that traffic is enforced is by groups of people honking their horn and a traffic police coming either by motorcycle or in their car to resolve the scenario and figure it out. Oftentimes, the honking alone can alert the person who's causing the traffic issue to come out and move their car. It's kind of miraculous how it all works. I've really come to enjoy it and appreciate it as a unique, cool thing when I think for a lot of people, it just causes them frustration.
You made it out to be a lot of honking. And look, people can honk a lot when they're frustrated with the traffic situation. I would say two things about this. Like, if you're driving in a town, you need to be patient. And, like, it's not constant honking all of the time. Like, people honk to signal to get the traffic police when there's, like, a bus stopped in the middle of the street and traffic is backed up through town. So you don't think you're going to constantly be drowned out with honking. But that is how things get done.
Final thoughts as the sun goes down here. Look, I think Albania rewards calm, competent drivers who are not going to get shaken or intimidated by unexpected things happening or coming into their field of view and are able to just take it as it is.
Choose your car wisely, depending on what you want to do. If you want to explore all of the country and you're going to be on the highways, make sure you get something like comfortable. If you're going to be like in smaller villages or towns, get something small. That'll make your life a whole lot easier. If you want to do off-roading or something, get an SUV, but like, unless you're specifically going to off-road or going into the mountains, I would think smaller.
Look, if you are able to accept it for what it is, you'll fall in love with the roads in Albania. It is some of the most beautiful driving I've ever done in my whole life. I absolutely have loved getting to know this country by car, and I really wouldn't want to have it any other way.
No, a car is definitely the way you learn this country. I mean, there's not like a rail system at all. There is a bus system that will get you from city to city, but there's so much to see just kind of on the periphery of the cities and certainly out in the middle of the country that you need a car for. So if you feel remotely comfortable driving, like, just give it a shot. You'll be able to figure it out. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's worth doing. The hardest part, I know I've said this, but the hardest part is parking. If you can manage parking, you can drive in Albania.
I just usually let you manage the parking.
Yeah, it's like, look, it's chaotic. The streets are small. You need to be able to parallel park quickly. That's why, like, the size of your car matters a lot.
You need to be able to accept instruction from a random person trying to tell you how much to turn or where to turn.
Yeah, somebody's going to help you in a language that you don't understand, and you're going to have no idea.
They're going to be aggravated with you for not quite understanding or following their unsolicited instructions.
But look, then you get the car parked,
exactly.
And it's done. The lesson here is, like, park your car when you get to a city and walk. Drive throughout the countryside, but plan to park and walk.
And if you plan to have a car, plan for parking. Don't count on street parking in at least Saranda or Tirana.
I wouldn't count on street parking anywhere. Maybe Durres, if your building has a parking lot specifically, but like, don't ever plan on street parking. Certainly on the coastal cities, because the volume of traffic, like, is mind-blowing during the summer.
And there's enough new builds that have garages built in that you're able to find a rental on the market that has some parking. Parking is less easy to come by here in Saranda, but you can still ask your landlords or in whatever property listing you're looking for if parking is available, and usually you can find some place where it is. Similarly, if you're exploring the country on a scouting trip with a rental car, I usually will go on booking.com or Airbnb and make sure that I check that free parking included, and sometimes leave a message to confirm, like, is this free parking street parking? And if so, I don't want it. There's a specific place in the center of Tirana that we stay that I chose because I like their parking garage. It actually has a car elevator that takes you a couple levels down. But I love the convenience. I can drive right into the center of Tirana. I can park my car. I don't have to worry about it as much as I would if I was trying to street park. All right, that's what we have for you today.
Thank you so much. Please, if you're interested in Albania, if you need support in your scouting trip, your move abroad, reach out to us. You can join the Smile Abroad Club. We meet every week helping people like you make their move to Albania. Thank you so much. Bye.
Take care. Do they want the sunset again? Probably.
Probably.
Cloudless today. Let's see. Yeah, cloudless today. But nice over the bay.